Let's focus in, shall we? Welcome to the Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220
Happy
KHTS.
Friday, George.
Indeed.
Happy Friday. We've lived this long.
I tell you.
No Agenda Friday.
No Agenda Friday. Our guest is going to jump in, so we're going to introduce him, Paul Karafotis, who's here today to talk about a book series he has, and I brought him back in because he's now got something that's totally radio. He's got Sing Along with Charlie Bubbles.
So welcome, Charlie, Paul Karafotis.
You can call me Charlie. It's okay, Fred.
Well, we want to, that's all good. No, we want to give a little bit of background, of course, because we've got this awesome series of books, and now you've expanded
4 of
out
them
into,
now, yes.
But you have a little bit of a background working with some, if we can drop a few names, such as Tom Cruise and
All the Right Moves, yes.
Very late, and
Chris
sad
Penn.
to say, the late, great James Gandolfini.
Oh, well, he was James and I had a wonderful friendship for about 25 years or so. We worked together on many projects. I was fortunate to direct him in a short film called Club Soda, along with Joe Mantegna and Lou Gossett Jr. So, I mean, I have a great
Now,
cast
you've
for my
got
first.
It's like the cavalcade of heavies. I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, spent a few years on Knots Landing, too.
I did.
So
I did 50 shows,
There we
50
go.
episodes, a couple of years on that show.
And you're a multi-hyphenate because you do a lot of things besides the actor thing. Tell me all your other
Writing.
things you've done.
I've written
writing,
some
yes.
screenplays, which, I've sold a couple of those, and screenplays and plays, which Jimmy Gandolfini was involved in a couple of those projects. He actually was very gracious and very, what's the word? He was very helpful to get things made.
Very nice.
He would like to go into his pocket. He was not tight of pockets, James.
Well, and the idea that in addition to some really lovely acting, some heavy chops in other areas, there's a light side to you with Charlie Bubbles. Now, where did that come from?
That came from, I got sober about 14 years ago, and then soon after that, I met the woman, the mother of Charles, and I waited a long time to become a dad, so it was a long time coming to see the eyes of my child. So once my son was born, being a sober man now, having had all this experience in Hollywood, having done a lot of things, I was very fortunate, I want to say that right off the bat, and lucky to have, as a young man, star in movies and be involved in a lot of different aspects of the business, not only producing, directing, writing, but, writing music, all those things, and partying and being, at the Playboy Mansion and going off to Europe and places, being invited guests to many things what I would not have gotten had I not been, in the movies and television. So grateful for that. So I had a lot of experiences. So by the time my son was born, being sober, that was my calling in life. Like I realized that was what I was supposed to be. All this time spent was to become a dad. So I got to spend lots of time with this little thing. And
who is how old now?
He's 8.5 now. He's going on 30, but he's 8.5. He told me today he's going to be 10 soon. I said, it's a whole other year for you to get before you even
But
get
before
it.
you know
jump up there.
it, peeking over the bed sheets at 10, Dad.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. I mean, he's already, I coach his baseball team. But when he showed up, and I was just,
You were smitten. He was everything.
Yeah, I was in love. I mean, I'd never been in love before like that. That was it. And I still am. And and I used to spend a bond with him and read to him, and the Pediatric Society all were involved with, we were reading about that. The pregnancy was the greatest part of my relationship with the woman I married. I was singing to the belly and rubbing the belly and putting oil on the belly and reading to the belly. And this is what the doctors and pediatricians were saying, this helps develop the brain while the child's being carried by the mother in the womb. And I thought this was, phenomenal. So I started to do all those things, and I wanted to be involved immediately, even before he showed his head, so to speak, on the day.
I just got the visual, sorry.
Yeah, it's a good visual. No, that was quite a thing, because, we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, but his name was going to be Charlie regardless. And so when he popped out there, and he was a boy, and, it was great.
And the world changed.
Yes, and so I would spend all this time reading to him and playing music to him and singing to him, and I started to blow these bubbles off my tongue, which he would pop on his nose, and that's when he kind of very, very early on, that's when his eyes would light up and he would try to grab at the bubbles, and he was all excited, and he would laugh, giggle, or whatever the babies do, like, I guess it's either a cry or a laugh. But he looked like he was smiling, the toothless smile. And I would put him down for a nap and go look out the window in my kitchen and daydream, as I did as a boy growing up, daydreaming about being in the movies.
Oh, so now it's changed with your own child.
Right. So I'm daydreaming now, just looking out the window, and I'm blowing the bubbles like I did as a kid out the window in my schools growing up and back in Boston, and thinking, I'm going to get to Hollywood. I'm going to be in Hollywood and Vine. I'm going to get there, whatever that is. I'm going to work with these people. I'm going to do this. And I would imagine myself in all these scenarios, right? I'm doing movies, and people are coming to talk to me. They like talking to me because I'm in the movies. So I had this wonderful fascination and imagination, and there I was, sitting in Koreatown in my penthouse little apartment down there on 8th Street, and I'd blow these bubbles, and I started thinking, what if I blew a bubble big enough that the baby could get inside this bubble and go on these adventures?
So now it's his turn to go out into the world and do things.
A gust of wind would blow him, and he would go out there, and who would he be? How would he react? Who would interact with him? How would these stories develop? What kind of child would he be? So we wanted him to be helpful, loving, and kind. Those are the tenets pretty much of Charlie Bubbles, and loyalty to friends and learning about those things with strangers. Mm-hmm. Having to put your hand out and say, hi, my name's Charlie. What's your name? I'm lost. I need help. Can you help me? And that was the beginning of what is now the Adventures of Charlie Bubbles series.
Now, the Charlie Bubbles, you can go to charliebubblesbook.com, and you say there's 4 books now.
There are 3 books, a
coloring book. That's the 4th book.
Right.
But now there's something radio worthy in that you've got music. You've got Sing with Charlie Bubbles. How did that come about?
Okay, the second book, called Charlie Bubbles to Smartsville, is each book has a different theme, and the second theme was music. Music being that it would bridge the gap that we use in our daily lives. That music has no bounds, right? It goes. You can like music wherever you're from, whatever religion you may be, into, whatever color you may be. Music change.
Music's for everyone.
Yeah, it just resonates in your soul. So I had Charlie playing the drums, which is, the basic beat of all mankind, the drums, the bongos. And I started thinking, what happens if Charlie goes down into this place underground and he's with the ants, and it's like sort of this like cool, vibe. Everybody's got sunglasses on. And
it's an underground club?
Yeah, exactly. That was the original idea. But of course I modified that because it's a kid. So this is the thing. Charlie uses music in this second book in order to change the preconceived ideas of the Smartsville ants, who are joyless. And the queen keeps sending her subjects out there to find something out in the world to help make our ants happy and joyful. And so Charlie's playing the bongos, and a caterpillar's dancing on his windowsill and falls off. The ants scoop up the caterpillar and take him to Smartsville to serve him up. There's caterpillar.
Oh, we're going to eat him?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't somehow bring any joy, he gets thrown in the pot.
There it is.
And he gets stirred up in the pot. So Charlie now has to make a decision. The first book, it just happens to him. He learns he blows a bubble. He goes out a window and things happen. This time he has to make a conscious.
He's going to be involved.
He's going to say, I got to go help. So I'm going to blow this bubble and go out and try to help my friend, the caterpillar.
All right.
So the caterpillar changes into a beautiful butterfly. So there's a metamorphosis that happens. This change happens to us when we see things that we wouldn't normally see.
Right.
And so Charlie using music and the change of the caterpillar into a butterfly, the queen is struck by this, not once but twice. And so she grants Charlie the wishes, and his wish is to see his friends go free. Nothing for himself.
That's so nice.
Okay,
I like Charlie.
Yeah, nothing for himself. And she says, "Well, look, I'll do me a favor." The queen asks Charlie, "I'll grant you whatever you'd like, but you have to come back and play with the Beatles, because the 3 Beatles that they captured can't make the sound until Charlie shows up with the bongo, and now he's
until Ringo comes."
There it is.
That's right. So it's the story. Right. So it's the Beatles get incorporated, which is my lifelong passion. The Beatles. So that's how it happened.
Our guest is Paul Paul Karafotis, actor, director, and I know you also are a musician and also, of course, author of Charlie Bubbles series. Now, Charlie Bubbles does have music now.
Yes, Sing with Charlie Bubbles.
Sing with Charlie
Bubbles. 7
Bubbles.
new, bright, and tap-toeing tunes. There's a couple other people on this. Chip Garamella, who wrote the song called I'm a Kid, which is a kid's anthem, and a blues virtuoso. This guy's great. TJ Sullivan and I wrote a song called Blow Your Blues Away, which is a characters from the third book, Charlie Bubbles the Family, about the crows. So 5 out of the 7 songs are to do directly with characters in the books.
Now, Ty the butterfly, is that the caterpillar that turns into?
Yes, the butterfly,
okay.
which is Ty Babylonian.
I was just going to say, and Ty is also a friend of yours,
yes.
The fantastic
Which
skater.
one do we want to play?
Ty, which one would you like?
I think you should start off, just hit the first track.
Hit the first one.
All right, then.
Talk it out.
Teddy Hiccup. Teddy Hiccup now.
Teddy Bear is the teddy bear in the story who's been cast away in the very first book, thrown away by his family because he's old and he hiccups.
All right, then. We're about to. Is this a radio premiere, by the way?
This is the radio premiere.
Sweet. Teddy.
Here you go,
Hiccup.
Teddy Hiccup.
Very fun.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Teddy Hiccup.
Excuse me.
Oh, very fun.
Teddy.
Charlie's hiccuping.
yeah.
That's from, you can go to the website, which is charliebubblesbook.com.
Charlie Bubbles
Book.
.com.
It's one word. Charlie Bubbles Book.
So there's 3 books now. There's a coloring book, and there's
now
Sing Along
we
with
have-
Charlie Bubbles, which Paul Karafotis, our guest, you wrote the song, you played guitar, you played bass, you were the vocalist. Who were your musical influences up to, I know you said the Beatles before
Well,
we played
before the
song.
Beatles, it was all big band because when I was a kid growing up, my father was a big Gene Krupa and big band, Buddy Rich. I used to go see them play. In fact, I played Gene Krupa's drums. I helped him carry his drums down the stairs of Paul's mom. I was like 8 or 9 years old, and he let me play with the band.
Nice.
Play with it. So that was early on was big band. My mother was a music teacher. She was quite a jazz pianist, but she was one of those closet. Like when we were all put to bed or something, she'd sit down
and play.
And I used to come to the bottom of the stairs and listen to her
Nice.
play. And
So did you did you have like classical training or?
I had none of that. No,
growing up?
I was a self-taught everything my whole life. Writing, music, guitar. I tried to take lessons. I was not one of those kids who could sit and learn. Sit in a classroom and learn.
But you still like the creativity of it and had fun with it.
I wanted to play guitar, so I got a book and went up and locked myself in the bathroom and drove my brothers and sisters crazy. And my mother used to say, "You play the air the best." And I played drums.
Did you ever play in a band?
I was in a band in high school. I was a baseball player up until I got to a sophomore in high school, and then I got into a band, and that was the end of baseball.
right.
Yeah. More
It was
chicks
girls.
in bands
well,
than
it was
baseball.
more chicks. I'll tell you, when I did my first play in the 8th grade, that's when it really changed because that's when I stood on stage and uttered my first line, and everybody laughed. I got this like the 500 kids.
Nothing like it.
And then I came off the stage, and all the girls who like the football players and the captain of this team and that team, they suddenly were calling my house looking for me.
Nice.
And I said, well, this looks like a good job.
Yeah, that works. It works.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you've got fuel to improve your music. I know that's how it works. A little bit of column A, a little column B. So moving forward, so I think we might have time for one more song. What do you want to just go into number 2, or do you want to go? Is there anything in particular you want to?
Let's see. Here are the titles. We've got Teddy Hiccup, Ty the Butterfly, named for Ty Babylonian the skater and the character in the book. Honey Bee, Blow Your Blues Away,
Let's
the
do
Crow's
Honey
theme.
Bee.
Honeybee. That's
okay,
number
that's
which
number
one?
3.
3.
I'm a Kid, Sandman's Kiss, and Meet Charlie Bubbles. Again, our guest is Paul Karafotis. You can go to charliebubblesbook.com. He's also on Twitter, CharlieBubbles5 on Twitter, and on Facebook, The Adventures of Charlie Bubbles. Pop over there, like it, and here we're going to listen to another radio premiere of Honeybee.
We have them on a few.
Welcome
It's a little bit
back.
of a
That was
Beatles revolver kind of
very-
It doesn't have that feel
Yeah.
to it. Yes,
Very much so. Again, that was Honeybee from Sing with Charlie Bubbles. The
Charlie was
music-
on the last verse.
Yes, he was. Sing with Charlie Bubbles, the music CD, available at charliebubblesbook.com.
Also, Amazon and
plural.
iTunes. It's all over the place.
Bubbles plural book single.
I know,
Yes,
right?
very good, George. Thanks,
Thank you.
George.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Bubbles is his
You're
last
welcome.
name. So we're talking with Paul Karafotis.
welcome,
He
Paul.
was the vocalist on that, the writer, guitarist, played bass, multi-hyphenate, actor, writer. I mean, it's just, what's next for you?
Well, I have a movie called The Wolves of Savin Hill. I play a detective. It's a story that is still being done as we speak. They keep going back to reshoot. But Charlie, my son, Charlie Bubbles, happens to be in that as well, playing my son. It's a stretch
Nice.
for him. So he, George off air while the song was playing, had asked me if Charlie was going to follow in Daddy's footsteps. I don't particularly want him to, but just to give him experiences and opportunities, whatever I can do for him, and then he'll have to make up his own mind, and we'll support whatever that is. However, if he was going to go into the business, I'd rather him be a writer, director, that kind of thing. I don't know about the acting.
Chair.
Yes, the acting thing is in my experience has been very.
Catch as catch can.
Well, you said before we went on air today, we were talking about the business being a little bit where you never have your footing, and you've used the phrase, you've lived your whole life in abject terror, because it's like, what's the next thing?
Yeah, right.
You're only as good as your next project. But the movie again is called
Wolves of Savin Hill, and then also upcoming on HBO, Crime. I have a thing with John Turturro coming up it's a miniseries called. They keep changing the name of that too, but I think it's called Crime Story.
Ooh. Nice
with John Turturro. So there's a couple things.
You play more good guys or bad guys, and which is your favorite, by the way?
Well, I like the bad guys are more interesting.
Oh yeah.
But lately I've been playing more cops, and that's okay too.
All right, cops are good.
Yeah.
So, and then Charlie Bubbles, more books, more music.
I'm not certain. We're kind of moving towards now making a show of it. A TV
Charlie
show.
Bubbles, the TV show.
Yeah, a cartoon or a TV show. In fact, we've been talking to a few people. Marty Croft, the Banana Split Man. He's
Love
back,
them.
and he's So
loved them.
So we're going to try
use
to make
another one of them.
we're going to see where it goes. We don't know. I didn't know. I thought I was only going to do one book as a gift to Charlie, and now we've got 4 and a CD.
It's a cottage industry.
It is.
That's
and
nice.
It's a family little thing.
Which is why we brought you out to promote the Charlie.
All the way out
Bubbles.
to Newhall. Here we are, beautiful day. I tell you, this is a lovely.
Look in the
little
camera
town.
and say how fabulous it is.
This
you
is
love
a
it,
great
right?
town.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
it
I
is.
love that.
This
The
Main
OTN. That's right.
Main Street, Newhall.
Main
That is
Street, Newhall,
correct.
Old Town Newhall. All right. So then again, if you would like to learn more about Charlie
Bubbles.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Facebook, The Adventures of Charlie Bubbles. You can go there and like us there. There's charliebubblesbook.com. We're on iTunes, Amazon.
So search for Charlie Bubbles.
Charlie
Very
Bubbles.
easy to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Charlie Bubbles, guys.
Always a pleasure, Paul, to have you come out.
George, thanks so much for having me.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
This is
Right.
the Friday
T, what about
Matinee.
you, T? You gonna give me a
I'm
squeeze?
weighing in.
Weighing in.
You're listening to AM 1220 KHTS Friday Matinee here in your hometown station.
All right.